Hello, welcome to today's video. We are on page 167 of the Keyboard Musicianship Book 1. The name of this exercise is Harmonizing with the tonic, dominant 7th, and the dominant 6/5. So we have here a melody. This is Skip to My Lou. And the thing I would like for you to do first is to play the melody by itself. Let's go ahead and just listen to this in 2/4 time. 1, 2. And so as you can see, the last one there is going to be just quarter note, quarter, an eighth note with an eighth rest. Remember to lift and allow the eighth rest to be there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have incomplete harmonizations in the left hand, and the first measure in the left hand establishes a broken chord of sorts, similar to the pop ballad, if we remember, when we do the top two notes of the triad and then playing the root of the chord or the bass of the chord separately from the third and the fifth. And so we're doing this oppositely. We're playing the root first, and then the top two notes, or the third and the fifth. It's not always going to just be the root in the third and the fifth. It can be spelled out in inversions as well. But the bottom note or the bass will be played individually by itself, and then the top two notes of the inversion or the abbreviation will be played together on beat number 2. So let's go ahead and establish the chords here. We have F major and the first two more measures. I'm just going to play them as blocks. And when we establish the rhythm of the left hand, and notice that the next measure does not have a chord symbol, which means it's still going to be F. So that means we will play the same thing twice. Making sure that when you hold the left hand notes that you do not release before playing all the subdivisions in the right hand. Notice in there, because it's non-legato. Now for measures 3 and 4, it's going to be different. Our chord is C7/E. We know that is a 7th chord. C7 is like that. But when it says /E, we know that's going to be first inversion. First inversion is played this way with the root played above. But in order to play a 5/6/5 of the chord, we usually abbreviate it by removing the fifth. And then we're left with E, B flat, and C. And notice here the third measure in the left hand, bass, and then the top two notes played together. And that's the new accompaniment style. But now for the fourth measure, we have been thrown a curveball here. We don't have another chord symbol, but measure number, or beat number 2, is a 6th interval. So that's different. If it's a 6th interval, and we know it is a C7/E, does that mean we play a B flat down here? That doesn't sound correct, does it? What if we played a G down here? No, because that would double the note right there. Well, take a look at the top note of the second beat. We don't necessarily have to play the 7th of the chord in the left hand because we have it being played there in the melody. So, and in order to keep the same style of lowered note or bass, and then higher notes, we will play it this way. That will double the tonic, or excuse me, that will double the root of the chord, but we want to play it that way. We couldn't do it interiorly or like that because that defeats the purpose of the style of accompaniment, which should be lower note and higher notes together like this. And so that's the best option. Going back to a repetition of the first two measures. Because we know we have F major. And then once again, we have a C7, but this time it is in root position. So if it is in root position, how are we going to create this chord or this accompaniment? Remember we talked about abbreviations. We don't exactly have to play the fifth, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. And if we're left with these three notes, once again, we play the bass note and then we play the top two notes together, which when we remove the fifth, we're left only with the third and the seventh. So that's the best answer right there. Both hands removed together. Okay, so after you've established all of the notes, let's go ahead and write them in the blanks, and then we'll play the whole thing together. So it's not entirely uniform throughout. There are some differences, but they, based on the information provided, should be able to be figured out. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 2 here, German Carol. Now this is a little bit different, okay? So we don't have chord symbols here. Okay, so we're trying to understand what the chords are based on the context, based on what notes are already being given to us. And I can go ahead and tell you that there is a lot of repetition here, so it's not going to be that difficult. Let's go ahead and play what has been printed out so far. Okay, so we can already see that the key signature is A major, and the first full measure plays or creates the A major chord, although it is very wide and open. It says here this is going to be a little bit different. This harmony is going to be in the actual same place as the melody, which is quite unusual. Usually the harmony is separated from the melody, but in this case we're going to add harmony to the melody in the right hand. Okay, so if we were to remove the melody, those are the melodic notes, they are the ones that are on top, but we're going to add some harmony that makes sense of these chords. The left hand will be single notes by themselves. So the best thing for you to do is to understand the context and write chord symbols above these measures. If you'd like to write some figured bass, that might be even a better idea. So we have the first chord is A major. We see that this is the top note, and we're going to go ahead and add the same harmony that we have for measure number 1. And so that's going to just be a repetition, these two measures here. And then measure number 3, we see that we have this is G sharp and D with the lower note being an E, we know the dominant of A major is E, and so when we have a D there in the right hand, we know that we are playing the dominant 7 of A major. It is, however, in root position because the E's there in the bass. The right hand is actually playing the 3rd and the 7th, abbreviated, without the B. Half notes, we already have notes printed there. And then we can establish, because it goes back to C sharp does not belong to the key or the chord of E major. And so we're only going to be focusing on 2 chords here. So we have the tonic and the dominant 7th. Okay, so we know that we can very easily fill out the rest of this music with that understanding. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to pause the video now and fill out the harmonies in the right hand, and then we'll come back and play it afterwards. So go ahead and pause it now. Okay, so after we've written out all of the harmonies in the right hand and the missing tonic notes, or the bass root notes in the left, remember only single notes in the left hand, let's go ahead and play what we've come up with. 1, 2. So we have an option here at the end. You can make this a single note, or if you want to just add harmony for the sake of harmony, we could have done this. And added a 5th. Another thing we could have also added, because it is A major, is there, that note right there. I didn't want to add a C sharp above because that would put the tonic below the harmony, which does not sound complete. So if you want to play that with a C sharp, you can. Or if you want to kind of make it a little ambiguous with the open 5th there, or just like that, it's up to you. So let's go ahead now and understand the reason why we made these decisions. Write in your figured bass if you want to. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and practice playing the music. And we will see you next lesson.